Story 1. Bosses demand the impossible. If bosses had unrealistic expectations about my work, but I'm no magician, so they had to pay a hefty sum. I work at a company owned by a Chinese holding. The folks in China are always making curious decisions about business and technology. They received millions of dollars in venture funding over there, but nothing ever makes its way to us, the American division. The parent company, based in China, decided to open a couple of offices on the West Coast in different locations. Our president said to the SEs in China, "Sure, since we laid off so many people, we had extra computers in the office. We could equip your West Coast offices with our machines." Keep in mind, since we downsized staff in our US division, I reallocated all the newer and better working tech to the remaining employees to replace old, dying machines over 5 years old. Everything newer was already in use. So they hire the first salesperson for the West Coast office and tell me to send them a computer. I dutifully pack a laptop, dock, and power supply into a box and ship it. 5 days later, I get an angry call from a mid-level employee on the West Coast. "This is not a director-level laptop. You didn't ask for a director-level laptop. You asked for a laptop from our remaining stock. You must have a better one." "No, not available. But I have a recently released engineer's laptop. I can repurpose it. It's quite good Core i7, 16GB RAM SSD. Will that work?" "Yes, send it." I set it up and ship it. 4 days later, another angry call. "This laptop is huge. The power brick is the size of 2 books. This guy travels." "Well, I didn't know that." "You didn't mention travel. You said director-level laptop and like the specs. He needs something more compact. I don't have compact, high-end laptops. Our VPs are on 5-year-old Core i5s with 4GB RAM. Do you understand we're working with outdated tech ourselves?" Then they hire a developer for the West Coast DEV office. I get a request to send him a laptop. Okay, on it. Then a follow-up email. "He's the DEV office manager and would really like a 512GB SSD MacBook 15-inch without a touch bar. He likes the previous generation. We don't have any Macs. What do you have?" "Lenovo V530. Send it. Can't wait for the call-in for days. This thing is huge. Update. Earlier I mentioned how I was shipping unused laptops to our parent company's new West Coast office. I was told to equip the new staff with whatever computers we had left, most of which were 4+ years old, some being massive engineering workstations with giant power supplies, etc. It's been a little over a month. They've hired 6 people in that office and 1 in the DEV office. In almost all cases, the request for the new employee's ID and equipment came on a Thursday or Friday, with the expectation that the employee would start Monday. When I saw the first such request, I knew where this was headed. If I did the impossible and met their unrealistic timeline, it would become the standard. They'd never stop demanding the same. I told my bosses, "Look, I'm not a magician. These demands fall outside our IDSLAs. Note, an SLA is a service-level agreement between a service provider and a client that defines quality, timelines, and key metrics. I physically can't prep and ship a PC in 1 day. Plus, shipping to the West Coast is expensive, especially next-day delivery." Their response: "Do what you can. It's a priority. Obviously, the top brass doesn't want to argue with the Chinese leadership and hopes I can bend the laws of physics. Fine. You'll get exactly what you asked for. First, when I get a request that doesn't meet the SLA window, I reply, 'This request falls outside our SLA timeline. I will try to meet your deadline, but there may be delays or additional shipping costs.' I CC the requester's VP, my VP I report to him, and our HR manager. Typical response: 'Oh, we don't want that, but the new hire can't sit without equipment. Please expedite,' etc. Per our published SLA, a new employee ID or email is created within 48 hours. I usually do it faster, but technically, delays only start after 48 hours. IT takes a minimum of 4 days to prep a PC and then add shipping. If we need to order new hardware, it's at least 14 days from procurement approval. Second, I do my absolute best to fulfill the requests. When someone drops by with another issue, while I'm dealing with one of these urgent ones, I just smile and say, "Sorry, this is a high priority task. Can you wait until evening or Monday?" They often return with their manager, demanding immediate resolution. I explain that the West Coast request has priority. Once they realize arguing with China is pointless, they back off. Honestly, I try to help everyone, but I can't be in two places at once. And I still need to wrap things up before the FedEx truck comes. Our company uses FedEx for shipping and we send a jerk ton every day. The express FedEx pickup happens between 1:30 and 2 p.m, so I really have to bust my ass if I get one of these requests at 7:30 a.m. on a Friday that was sent by the West Coast hiring manager at 1:30 a.m. for the package to make the Monday delivery. I have to set up the IDSync user account with Office 365 from the local server, confirm licenses, grab one of my prepped computers, configure VPN, Outlook, email signature, etc., test the setup, box it, and ship even if the request comes Thursday. Shipping usually happens Friday. Sometimes the laptop is ready only by 3:30 or 4 p.m. and my guys have already printed the FedEx label, but I have to drive it to the airport myself 10 minutes away to make sure it ships that night. Everything I sent so far has gone via FedEx overnight. The first time, I used standard overnight to save money delivery after PM local time. At noon their time, I get a call from the director complaining that the new employee is sitting idle. I remind him the SLA hasn't expired and that, factoring delivery time, there's a 3-day window. He hangs up, then my VP chews me out. He agrees this is nonsense, but has no leverage with Chinese leadership, so he just goes with the flow. I follow up with an email to him, HR, and the West Coast director. From now on, I will ship everything to these offices via FedEx priority overnight with 10:30 a.m. delivery. Priority overnight costs about $65 per box. The West Coast director complains. Our staff starts at 8 a.m, so delivery needs to be earlier. I reply, CCing my VP, as per your instructions, I will ship everything via FedEx first overnight delivery around 8 a.m. I asked management how to handle these costs. Finance says all these should be charged to the West Coast office. Since then, every shipment goes via first overnight, about $100 per box. We need a docking station, not initially requested. Okay, I send a dock and spare power supply. First, overnight, the laptop doesn't work. It worked when I packed it, but it's a 4-plus-year-old machine already used by 2 others. Fine, I send a second one. First overnight, we need a printer. You could buy one locally. Here are a couple of models. Cheaper that way. No, send us one of yours, okay? I send a big HP 4240 via first overnight. Of course, it doesn't work on arrival. Send monitors for. The dock, I pack 10 use 19-inch 4:3 ratio monitors. First overnight, these are old. Yes, all the new monitors are already in use. Every time I ship to the West Coast, I have to include a cost center on the request form. I always use the one provided by finance. Looks like the West Coast office received the shipping invoices this week. The director exploded, called me, and started yelling that he could have bought new equipment for that money. I asked him to hold. Forwarded all their demands from my folder to HR, grabbed my VP, and we went to HR's office. I put the call on speaker. He kept yelling about the shipping costs and accused me of wasting company resources. He's from the Chinese parent company but temporarily assigned here, so technically he's a US employee. The peak moment was when he started cursing at me in a mix of English and Chinese. Then the HR manager stepped in. It says here you asked for 8 a.m. delivery. Sudden silence. Now let's talk about you swearing at our employee. She motioned for me and the VP to leave, so she could deal with him herself. Story 2, overworked for nothing. Me boss didn't appreciate the fact that I was busting my ass at work. So I left for a place where my time and experience are paid fairly. The software development company I worked for got acquired. Some people were laid off, others were hired, and the teams and functions were partially reorganized. Before the acquisition, everyone did whatever was within their skill set. Teams complemented each other, and a single person would handle a client from the first demo through configuration, implementation, and product training. Some of us were strong technically, others had over 10 years of experience in the client's professional field. Clients gave feedback and requests. We'd discuss internally what we could add or change, put together a working prototype, and bring it to the DEV team to polish and implement in production. Everything worked great. 100% positive feedback, not a single broken feature in production. We had an excellent relationship with DEVS, and some of us could even write queries or code snippets to save them a million clarification questions. When there weren't urgent tasks, we'd help out with support. Clients would call, and reception already knew who to redirect them to based on the client and issue. Problems were often solved instantly. Clients loved this and understood that if we didn't resolve something immediately, it meant we genuinely needed more time to dig into it. After the acquisition, the parent company rewrote our well-established processes into a rigid system. One job title, end of story. The problem was that after numerous layoffs, I was the only one left who could cover the many areas and tasks we previously handled as a team. I ended up involved in sales, product improvements, implementation, development, data conversion, and support. At first, I didn't mind. It was similar to my previous role. It all started pretty nicely. Managers from various departments would ask, "Could you help Team X with Project Y?" They'd buy me a drink on business trips or give me a comp day. Fair trade. They treated it like a personal favor, eventually. Though, all these departments stopped asking and started demanding my time. Instead of asking when I was available, I'd just find time blocks added to my calendar. A few times I was expected to lead meetings and prepare stuff, but no one had even told me. Around then, I noticed many of my suggestions, those they had asked for, were being rejected by new employees who had no idea what they were doing. People who'd never seen the product and knew nothing about programming, logic, or databases. So they'd demand my input but ignore it. And when something broke or didn't meet client expectations, they'd throw more questions at me. Plus, the new DEV team I worked with found any excuse not to do anything unless someone handed it to them on a silver platter. Demand on my time kept rising, while my actual job was getting blocked. Clients weren't responding, sending data, or giving access for me to complete tasks. Still, my boss demanded results and reports on top of that. The concept of waiting didn't exist. It was my job to chase clients until some third party gave us what we needed. I started truly hating the job I once loved. Every day was worse than the last. Then came my annual review. It was great, but I got the same measly inflation adjustment as everyone else. What really burned me up was that the sales team earned commissions from deals I closed, and I got squat. At the old company, going above and beyond was well rewarded. I doubled my salary in a few years. Now I was losing money, miserable, and my extra effort was totally uncompensated. I was constantly fighting with my boss, who didn't care about my workload or that I couldn't force third parties to deliver. Out of the blue, the head of the data conversion department called. He said a few of his people noticed someone in Teams. A random guy from implementation was instantly solving complex DEV and data issues. He had been talking to an old client about migrating financial data from their old system and learned that I had already handled their building data, codes, fire safety, urban planning, etc. The client asked if I could do it again because my past work was flawless. I'd even made small tweaks to help them out, renaming record types, trimming spaces, or leading zeros to make reporting in Excel easier. The department head was shocked that I'd done it all alone. In his team, 5 people would have done that job. He immediately offered me a position. I said I was interested and needed to think. He added I could start part-time, a couple hours a week, if that was easier. Then he said he saw what I was dealing with and would cut out all the extra crap from other departments. I liked him right away. Right then, my current boss barged into the call, saw on the company app that I was talking to someone, and started chewing me out for wasting work time. Then she screamed at me about open, incomplete tickets. You've got time to chat with him but not call the client. For the 1000th time, I tried to explain how many tasks from other departments were dumped on me and that I couldn't force third-party companies to act. Her reply, "I'm tired of your excuses. Just do your job and shut up." I immediately called back the head of data conversion and asked, "How soon can I transfer full-time?" "Dude, yesterday if possible." I just talked to the deputy director, and he nearly crapped himself with joy when I told him you might join even part-time. Take the rest of the day off, drink a beer, celebrate, I'll handle the rest. See you in the morning, and that was it. I followed his advice. Cracked open a beer. After months of stress, the relief hit me hard. Next day, I clearly told all those vampire departments and my old boss that I wouldn't be helping them anymore. Naturally, they ignored it and kept stuffing my calendar with tasks. So I deleted them, did my job, and shut up. Then everything went to hell. I'm no genius, but I was literally the only person who could handle all those tasks. When I stopped, everything collapsed. Almost everything needed years of experience and knowledge. Hiring a replacement was pointless. Instead of asking me for help, people started demanding and attacking. I hit back. In one email CC'd to the CEO, a support manager asked why I no longer bothered to help. I replied, same reason you don't clean toilets or run cable in the building. Not my job. My old boss told me, just do your job and shut up, so go to her. Sales tried to go around me and ask my new boss for help with demos. He said, sure, if you come over here and do a couple of his data conversions. The performance in all the departments I used to help tanked, especially support. Issue resolution time went from 2 hours to 8 days. Sales for my product line dropped from 85% success to under 25%. The CEO said that was over a 60% drop. Not sure of the exact number. Customer satisfaction in DEV fell from 100% to 60%. Implementation failed to install some components, leading to at least one terminated contract and a demand for a refund. In classic fashion, my old boss's boss, the same one who did my last review and childhood friend of the CEO, came to me and said the CEO noticed all the departments I left behind had their worst results in company history. Weird, huh? He asked what pushed me over the edge. My new boss answered for me that I was pissed because my review and raise didn't reflect my effort. Other departments just demanded my time, expectations were insane and impossible, and the bureaucracy was idiotic. As a result, this year the company introduced 2 criteria for annual raises: individual performance and department results. No more raises for teams with negative performance trends. After the announcement, several department heads resigned or transferred. Meanwhile, I wrote a few utilities for my new team that saved us thousands of man-hours. Our metrics skyrocketed after a rough start. And now, as my boss puts it, he's driving a bus full of us laughing jackasses straight to the bank. Story 3, my husband suggested a threesome. Husband, whom I've been married to for 5 years, wanted a threesome with my best friend and she didn't mind. I'm 26, he's 35. We met 7 years ago, married for 5. I love him and appreciate everything he's done for me. But now I'm afraid both my marriage and my friendship are over, especially since I just found out I'm pregnant. All the chaos began right after I told him. He seemed thrilled about the baby we had been trying for about 6 months. My best friend, let's call her MIA, is 28 and knew my husband before I did. They were really close before we got together. When we started dating, I had suspicions something was going on between them, but they denied everything. Although once, when they were drunk, they admitted to sleeping together before I came into the picture. I guess it shouldn't matter now, but I still think about it, especially after what just happened. 2 weeks ago, my husband suggested a threesome for the first time. I said no right away and hoped he wouldn't bring it up again. 2 days later, he mentioned it again. I refused again. Then he brought it up once more after sex. I said no again. After that, he stopped asking, and I thought it was over. 3 days ago, he invited me out for lunch. I was excited. It had been a while since we had a date. We got to the restaurant and MIA was there. I was confused because he hadn't told me she'd be joining us. The mood turned weird quickly, but I tried to ignore it. Halfway through lunch, he brought up the threesome idea again and said MIA was the perfect person for it. I was shocked. I asked MIA if she knew about this, and she said, yeah, I've known about it for a month. I was devastated. I said no, paid for my food, and drove away. I feel so betrayed and crushed. This man is supposed to be the father of my child, and now I can't even look at him. I'm staying with my mum now. He keeps calling and acting dramatic, saying he'll forget everything. MIA is also messaging me with similar apologies. I have no idea what to do. Edit. Many people are telling me to terminate the pregnancy. I'm incredibly torn. My mum would be heartbroken. She was so happy when my sister had a baby, and I wanted to give her that joy too. But I don't want to look at my child and see him, and he could legally demand visitation rights. Some even suggest MIA might be pregnant too, and the threesome was just a cover story. That sounds far-fetched, but I'll probably speak to both of them today and update you. MIA was my closest friend for many years. I have a couple of old school friends, but once I started dating my husband, everything moved fast and we moved in together. I focused entirely on the house and us. My dad is gone. Grandma's in a nursing home. My sister just had a baby. So, the only person I can lean on now is my mum. I honestly don't know if I could ever let him hold our child or even look him in the eye again. Now that I think it over, I really do believe he and MIA were together for a big part of our marriage. I don't know if he could ever earn back my trust. Some people in the comments pointed out our age gap, and now that everything is falling apart, I realize how dependent I've been on him. It's terrifying, honestly. We had good moments, but I really regret ever meeting him. Commenter: what the hell? This isn't about your mum, your sister, or your bastard husband. This is about you. You're the one who has to carry, birth, raise, and co-parent with this jerk. Your mother isn't going to do that. Stop making life-altering decisions for others. If you want the baby, keep it. If you don't. But for the love of God, don't do it just to please someone else. Oh, you're probably right. I honestly don't think I can raise this baby knowing who the father is. Update the next day, both of them agreed to meet with me this morning. I wasn't surprised by what happened, but I still can't stop crying. When I arrived, they were sitting close, practically cuddling. I nearly threw up. They were laughing and chatting like nothing had happened. It was disgusting, especially given how much pain I'm in. I sat down and asked directly, "Have you been sleeping together behind my back?" Everything I suspected for the last 3 days was confirmed. They had indeed been having sex. My heart is shattered. I don't think I can go through with this pregnancy. These last few days have felt like someone else's life. I'm a wreck. I know it might be early to make such a big decision, but ending the pregnancy feels like the only right thing to do. I also asked him why he didn't tell me sooner, at least before I got pregnant. He just shrugged and said, "I don't know, like that's an acceptable answer." MIA barely said a word. I don't think she feels even a shred of guilt. For those telling me to divorce him, that's probably what's going to happen. I'm scared. I've known him for most of my adult life. He's the only man I've ever been with. He controls our accounts, our rent, all the finances. I literally don't know where to start. That's all for now. Thank you for listening to this story till the end. Don't forget to follow our channel and take care.